In this video, we talk about this winter storm that's set to impact the nation today and tomorrow, along with its potential impacts coming up. Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. Hope y'all are having a wonderful day today, and I hope you guys are prepared for this upcoming winter system. My name is Andrew Heishman. I'm the lead forecaster here at NWS, and for today's question of the day, I'm wanting to know, would you rather prefer a snowstorm or a thunderstorm? Leave it down in the comments below, and I just might heart your comment. Now, guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into it. Alright, guys, so we're taking a look here at the radar view in regard to what is currently going on here across the nation. So, we actually do have a bit of snow shower activity across bits of the Tennessee, Ohio Valley right now. There's actually some accumulations being reported across some of these regions. Same thing for the Northeast. We actually are dealing with a little bit of snow shower activity. However, this is not the main system we are expecting to occur here in just for later on today. So, we actually do have a little bit more snow shower activity across bits of the Central Plains into the Midwest. You know, nothing too crazy. Right now, we are seeing a decent amount of snow across bits of Kentucky right now. So, later down the line, when we take a look at the models, you will see that there will be an area of low pressure that will develop across the southeastern side of the United States, track its way up to the northeast, potentially allowing for some pretty significant impacts down the line. Alright, so guys, now we're taking a look here at the view in the future. Now, like we were seeing, we do have some snow showers across the Ohio Valley into the Tennessee Valley. Same thing for the Northeast. We actually are seeing all that snowfall across the region. Now, like I was saying before, pay attention to the coast here of the Southeast. We do have some moisture is drawing its way up to the north here, followed by this current moisture, dropping some snow across bits of the Ohio Valley and moving its way into the Mid-Atlantic here, kind of by tomorrow afternoon. Now, once these two air masses kind of converge with one another, we'll start to get an area of low pressure that will develop here and get quite strong as it starts to really strengthen here, as it starts to impact the Northeast. Kind of around the early morning hours here on the 29th, continue to strengthen as this thing does track its way up to the Northeast, potentially allowing for a lot of heavy snowfall, especially across the eastern side of Massachusetts. We do have the potential of maybe up to 2 feet of snow across the region. This system will continue to track its way up to the Northeast, being completely out of the area by the morning on the 30th. So not only is snow a concern, but also heavy winds are as well. We'll take a look more at that here in a second, but right now we're taking a look here at the surface map in regard to the ocean. Now, we start to get a lot of heavy winds starting to blow to the southwest here, kind of around the early morning hours here on the 29th. Now, the problem with this is if you get the winds that are strong enough, it starts pushing all the water from the ocean against the side of the coastline, rising the overall sea level, which will actually allow for the possibility of some coastal flooding. This system will track its way down further into bits of the 29th, potentially allowing for those winds to really kind of kick off here, maybe even up to around 50 knots, maybe over 50 miles per hour or so. So it is going to be quite strong in terms of things. Like I said, we'll get to more here of this in a second in terms of approximate wind speeds. But as we do track down further, you can really start to see this area of low pressure really well defined here. Some really serious winds starting to blow around this area of circulation here. This thing does track its way off here into the 30th. Alright, guys, so we're taking a look at the models in regard to things. We're taking a look here first up at the GFS model. This is your global forecasting system. So we actually do have a lot of moisture in place across the southeastern side here, the southeast. Kind of these two air masses, the one we actually are currently seeing across the Ohio Valley, as well as this one that's in the southeast. These actually will converge together, allowing for a lot of potential snowfall to fall across the Mid-Atlantic as this area of low pressure tracks its way up to the northeast, strengthening quite significantly. So we're going to go ahead and draw a dot here right where this area of low pressure is located. I'll go ahead and show you why we're doing this here in a second. We track up in time, this is allowing for some potentially heavy snowfall to fall across bits of the Northeast. And like I said before, especially parts of Massachusetts, we are seeing the possibility of maybe even up to 2 feet of snow. So, like you may have saw, like I just said, I did kind of draw these lines. So this is basically the track that this area of low pressure is set to take. Now, we'll go ahead and compare this to the other models. Alright, so guys, now next up, we're taking a look here at the ECMWF. This is your European model. So like the same story like we were seeing with the GFS, we do have these two air masses that will converge. Now take a look at this. We're going to do the same thing we did for our GFS. We're going to go ahead and draw this little marker here for this area of low pressure. Now watch what this one does. This one actually tracks a lot more further west. Now the fact that it is tracking more west is also does push the overall snowfall west as well, which actually might allow for maybe some more snow to fall across bits of the Northeast. There is still a lot of disagreement between these models. Go ahead and track this system out of the way here. Now take a look at this. If we go ahead and plot these points together, look how far of a gap there is between the two models. Now, your European model did show this go a lot more further west, potentially a lot stronger as well, while your GFS had it going way off. I mean, this is at least a several hundred-mile gap here between these two models. So what we can infer here is the fact that these models are still disagreeing quite a bit. The fact that they are so spread out together just shows that there is a lot more disagreement. So like I said before, if it tracks more west, more snow for the Northeast. If it tracks more east, less snow for the northeast. So that's basically what we're seeing. Now let's go ahead and take a look here at the GDPS model. This is your Canadian model, and let's see what this one has to say about this snowstorm. Alright, so guys, now lastly, we're taking a look at the GDPS model. So as you do track down in time, the similar thing between all these models. Now you might notice, just in the fact that this model is actually quite similar to what your European model had to say. Let me go ahead and show you. So we do track down in time here. This one also kind of shows this track way more west compared to what you're between your GFS model as well as your European model. So go ahead and track this one out of the way as well. We'll go ahead and connect our dots here in terms of a track. So there is obviously a lot of differences between the tracks here, but the fact is that there is mostly that average right between basically your European model as well as the Canadian model. Basically just showing the fact that this actually might track more west, and if it does, that means more snow totals for the northeast. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and take a second to say, if you are new to the channel, guys, consider subscribing. We're trying to reach that 300 subscriber goal by the end of January. So guys, if you could help us get there, that'd be greatly appreciated. You guys are awesome. Alright guys, so we're moving on back here to the GFS model. Now we're taking a look at the accumulations. Now I want to go ahead and say, guys, this is bound to change. You really shouldn't trust these models exactly, because these models are more guidance than anything. They're not really approximate, so just kind of get an idea based off of what this has to say. So, like I said, this model did track a lot more east, and because it tracks more east, that means the snowfall doesn't go as much inland as a lot of these other models you'll see go. Now, across bits of eastern Massachusetts, this model is showing maybe the potential of maybe well over a foot, potentially up at max around 17 inches. Now, kind of across this light blue shade area, we're kind of expecting maybe 1 to 3 inches. Dark blue, kind of more 3 to 5. This pink is more 6 to 10 inches. So the fact that your European model does track a lot more west, this actually does allow for a lot more heavier snowfall. Take a look at the differences between your GFS model. This one kind of shows that, maybe even near 2 feet of snow is possible. Look at this, 26 inches here. Your Cape Cod, kind of more, 20s and stuff. So we are expecting some really heavy accumulations out of this. Now, according to this model, basically in this red maroon shaded color, we actually are expecting maybe 12 plus inches across these regions. Like I did say before, pink, in the pink shaded area, more 6 to 10, 3 to 5 for the dark blue, as well as 1 to 3 for the light blue. Now, kind of this, kind of this gray shaded area, we're kind of expecting maybe a trace to an inch at max. Alright, so guys, now we're moving on here to the GDPS model in terms of your Canadian model. Now, this one did have a western track as well compared to your GFS. However, in terms of how much snow, it is actually significantly less compared to what your ECMWF model had to say. Now, we can say that there is an agreement between your GDPS model, your ECMWF, as well as your GFS, showing the potential of over a foot across Massachusetts. So it is kind of safe to say that that is going to be a likely case scenario. However, there's kind of less areas here inside of this zone, but showing that over 12 inches is likely across a lot more areas here. So we'll just have to see. Alright guys, now for the last model of today's video, we're taking a look here at the National Weather Service blend of models. Now, like I said before, guys, this one just takes a whole bunch of model outputs in terms of snowfall accumulation, kind of blends them together to give the average between all these models have to say. So, we do track down here. Now, we did see the similarity between a lot of these models that we are expecting well over a foot of snow across the eastern side here in Massachusetts. So, that's kind of locked in at this point. Like I said before, guys, 6 to 10 across the pink, 3 to 5 across the dark blue, 1 to 3 across the light blue, as well as maybe up to a trace to an inch across this gray shaded areas. Now, if you're going to trust any of these models, this is probably the one you should trust the most. Now, guys, you're going to want to stay tuned because we're going to take a look here at the National Weather Service forecast in regard to your expected snowfall accumulations here in a moment. Alright, so guys, now we're taking a look here back at the GFS model. However, now we're taking a look here at your max expected wind gusts from the system. So, we do track down into the worst side of the system. Now, near Barnstable, we actually are seeing a potential of maybe up to 75 mile per hour wind gusts. Now, like I said, we are expecting to see a lot of winds kind of push its way against the coast, which might allow for, all that water to really start to push its way on the shore, which might actually allow for a lot of swelling to occur. So, be prepared because we might actually see some coastal flooding. Now, areas such as Boston, we're talking maybe up to 66 mile per hour wind gusts. Bits of New York City, maybe 39 mile per hour wind gusts. Brentwood, 39 miles per hour. So, overall, we are expecting some pretty crazy wind gusts out of the system. Now, like I said before, guys, this is just one model. You really, really shouldn't trust this approximate, but just kind of get an idea based off of what this has to say. Okay, so guys, now we're taking a look here at the National Weather Service hazards in regard to your current hazards issued by the National Weather Service. So, across this blue shaded area, we actually do have some winter storm watches because obviously we are expecting a pretty significant winter storm to impact these regions here over the next 2 days. So, those basically just show that potentially down the line we are expecting some pretty heavy snowfall, but just stay alert because we might need some winter storm warnings. Now, in terms of winter storm warnings, we actually do have a few across this pink shade area, basically showing that, imminent snowfall is expected and potentially large impacts is expected. And then we do have some winter weather advisories, kind of across this purple shaded area, showing that some impacts of winter weather is possible. So there might be some kind of, road situations in terms of maybe some dangerous conditions while traveling. So just stay tuned for that. Alright guys, so now we're taking a look here at the National Weather Service forecast in regard to your expected temperatures here for today. Now, they're not expected to get too high. This is as high as we're talking. So we are expected to see that freezing line just kind of right here during the main daytime hours. We actually are seeing the sun basically heat up the surface. We are not expected to break the freezing line basically across this area here. Now, across the southeast, it's going to be quite a nice day considering we are expecting a winter system to impact bits of the northeast down the line. But overall, it's going to be quite chilly for the north and quite warm for the south. Alright guys, now I did tell you that I would give you a National Weather Service forecast in regard to your upcoming snowfall, so here it is. Like I did say before guys, across the maroon shaded color, we actually are expecting maybe up to 12 inches according to your National Weather Service forecast, so this is official data. So we are seeing the possibility still of maybe up to 21 inches according to this. You can barely see it, but it is there, showing that we could get near 2 feet of snow is expected across those areas. 6 to 10 across the pink, 3 to 5 across the blue, and 1 to 3 across the light blue shaded areas. So guys, please stay safe during this. Make sure you have everything ready before it hits you guys. Okay, now guys, what we recommend during a winter storm like this, we recommend that you get your car filled up with gas. Make sure your generator's running. Just make sure you have all your essential items, you know, food, water, everything you need, because you expect to be kind of hunkered down for a little bit, because these roadways are expected to be quite bad. So guys, just please be safe during this. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the chat below or the comments below, guys. I will try to get to them as best as I can. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions, and if you do, I will definitely get to your guys' questions. Alright, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to leave a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Like I said, guys, we are trying to reach that 300 subscriber mark, so if you're not already, hit that subscribe button, guys. I'll be greatly appreciated. But anyways, guys, I hope you all stay safe and warm, and I'll catch you all in the next one.